So just like big room house, doing future house means that your patches are going to have to pretty much cover all of the attention for any given drop. It's going to be one very heavy sound. So to help out with that and to have your patches carry a little bit more weight, it's nice to have them pretty spread out. It doesn't have to be too crazy, but having a delay on effects 1 really helps out with this. So here's without the widener, and then slowly bringing it in. You'll hear right in the middle there's some phasing problems, which totally makes sense because you have your original mono patch and then you have kind of this like sort of spread out sound, but it's trying to put like 3 different sounds together. So if you're either going to go all dry or all wet. Then a benefit to using this instead of pan position on the voicing page is that you can A, spread it out really far if you want. I think that's a little much. Or you can have it go more one direction rather than the other. So more left, more right. Just a preference thing. I also like to use this as something that I can modulate. I know I did that in this sound. You can see here when this macro is turned up, it's like very spread out versus pretty close together. You can kind of hear the difference how even with some panning going on, it doesn't come nearly as close to when you have delay on. And let's turn it up. Notice that when I move the macro for either time left or time right while a sound is going, you get kind of this pitchy sound effect, which I actually included in this softer pad. So that's widening with the delay. So when you're working on an Oliver Heldens future bass kind of sound, you need inherently metallic wavetables. So the ones that I found were, I think it's like Math 1. Let's see if that sounds okay. And Additive 2. Well, okay, that just sounds terrible. There we go. And what we're looking for is we're looking for a spot that it is inherently metallic and no longer purely just fuzzy and buzzy. This is, I'd say, really sawtoothy. And then right in there, that's where you get our metallic sound. Let's go to Additive 2. So not quite there yet, but we'll see if we can't get an envelope to help us out. So usually with any kind of plucky sound, which I would say both of these definitely are, you're going to have a quick attack, you're going to have a quick decay, and your sustain is going to be all the way at 0. But in this case, we're going to change it up a little bit. We're going to bring our level down and our sustain up, S loop on. And the gist of this, or why we're doing this, is so we have an overall softened envelope, softened shape for our metallic sound. It's different than a regular pluck in that we don't want to just like hear the sound very quickly and a lot of reverb. We really want to hear a lot of the tone. So using linear instead of exponential allows you to hear that. S loop will ultimately help us make it like a pluck, but this is kind of the range where, you call this the tone range of your envelope. So now we got to get it close because this is nowhere near close. Let's go one at a time. Just shooting for something a little bit more metallic than not. Let's bring the decay down. Cool. Additive, let's check that out. something like that. Sounds pretty good. And with all of our Heldens sounds, you can totally just throw one up a perfect fifth or 7 semitones, and usually it sounds pretty good. If it doesn't, throw it back down to 0. Doesn't matter. So you can hear how we're starting to get a little bit more of a metallic thing going on. Other metallic tools you have are phase, that can help. Let's try this. 7. Just looking for something that's not fuzzy. Okay, that's a little bit better. Still fuzzier than I'd like. There we go. A little better. So now we're going to attach some reverb to it, and you want to go with a generally small size. Turn our delay trick on, see if that helps us out. And again, this isn't... there we go. This isn't about specific steps, it's about overall topics that you're going to take away and little tricks. Trick number 1, or element number 1, is metallic wavetable. 2, softened envelope using linear. 3 is the effects, making sure that sounds pretty wide, just like we had talked about. And now let's see what a low-pass filter does. Here we go. And already you can tell we're getting much closer. I think in the patch itself, I used a band pass and then a low pass. So it's not the initial individual steps that really matter. Let's go back to band pass. We want the metallic beginning. That's like priority 1. See if we can't get that. Use band pass. That sounds good. Now to low pass. There we go. So I think to boost it up a little bit, you can use, clipper, hard clipper, parabolic shaper. That's actually like kind of right on the money. I actually might save this. So the most important part is that you walk away with something that sounds metallic, because you can always add a little bit more reverb, and you can shape your envelope so it's either got a little bit more attack or it's really tight in. But this, more so than any other patch that I think I've done in recent memory, is about the wavetable choices. So look around. Actually, let's, just for experimentation purposes, let's move to some different ones and see how it affects whether or not it keeps its metallic shape. It kind of does, but there's some where it definitely just wouldn't work. Actually, this one might even work better. So that's your general how-to. Again, you can use my patch as a reference to get you exactly where you need to go. So that is a long version of how to use metallic wavetables for future bass sounds. So within this patch, I used a frequency shifter, which isn't uncommon with a lot of my patches lately because while it can be a very difficult parameter to mess around with, it can also give you a lot of interesting metallic or otherwise interesting tones. So in this case, I had macro 1 controlling this turning on. And this will be pretty quick, actually. I'll show you a couple spots that this works and how to find that out. First, if you double-click on pitch, it'll reset right back to 0, which is a good place to start, but not to keep it. Reason being, if you leave it at 0, A, it's going to be the same, but B, if you use dry wet at all, like kind of right in the middle, you can get some weird phasing issues going on. So, then holding shift allows you to really fine-tune your pitch shifter, or your frequency shifter. So always use that while you're looking around for just the right pitch. And then I would say, just doing it maybe like a tiny bit in either direction, you can find an octave below and an octave above. So those are 3 spots that are definitely worth checking out. And here's how we're going to kind of lock that in. Holding shift, we're just kind of listening into how much our patch is vibrating against itself, because we have our dry frequency and our wet frequency. So those are inherently going to be different. Let's make them work well together. Actually, right there. So, I didn't use this as a regular part of the patch, but had I left it at this pitch, you could have used this as kind of like the very first sound you heard in this patch, and that was to have kind of a higher, like a high pass frequency sound. Just kind of sounds pretty cool. So let's try, this is a good spot, a little bit higher. And every step of the way, I'm using shift to make sure that I'm not leaving it somewhere that's kind of close. There's our octave below. Now let's try even lower. Holding shift. That's not all the way at the bottom. This range kind of sucks. So let's try up top, see if there's anything up here. Let's make that a little quieter. So, as you can see, as you just witnessed, adjusting the pitch and working with frequency shifter takes a while to find a spot that you're happy with not only now, but you're going to come back and not go, this sounds terrible, which I've definitely found to be the case before. So make sure that you take your time, hold shift when you're adjusting that parameter, and be very careful when you're using one. You can also use 2, and I've used those back to back before. Again, you just have to use a lot of your personal judgment as to whether you're looking for a dissonant sound, a sound that's super tight and percussive, or if you're looking for something that is harmonically in the same kind of key. So, major third or even like a major sixth, something that sounds like it's almost how some of these wavetables have that kind of extra harmonic sound to it. So, with that said, that's topic 3. Using frequency shifters in order to change your tone. So that's all I got for you guys for the Oliver Heldens future bass sound. I hope you guys liked it. As always, you can email me at Ryan@OCC Studios for any mastering requests, and I will be back within the next 5 to 7 days.